Welcome back. It is the big story we've been talking about. President Biden's first joint address to Congress tonight. The reaction is pouring in. Let's bring in my guest tonight back on the show. That is Kelly Hyman joining us, as well as a newcomer to the Final Five, the founder of Point Bridge Capital, Hal Lambert. Thank you both for staying up late with me tonight on this. Kelly, let me start with you. It seemed like the president started with the unifying messages. I heard he said everybody's here to help. And then as the speech got towards conclusion, we started talking about Second Amendment issues. We started talking about taxes. Clearly, you're not going to get everybody on board with this, but how do you think President Biden did?
Well, if I had to grade him, I would give him an A+. He spoke to the American people, and I think that was very smart, because in order for the policies to come through, he needs to speak with the American people. And if they have the approval of the American people, then hopefully the Republicans will work with the Democrats and move forward to help the American people.
Hal, you were the national finance chair for Senator Ted Cruz, and a statement that he came said it was boring but radical.
Absolutely. It was a tremendously boring speech and very radical. I mean, the whole thing was political theater from the very beginning. As he walked in with his mask on, everybody's masked up. The whole place has been vaccinated. Everybody's social distancing, but they've all been vaccinated. What does that say? It's just fantasy. They sat behind him, Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris, and masks the whole time. They've all been vaccinated. And then he gets up there and talks about all these crises that are out there that he's going to solve. One of which, by the way, he said was a healthcare crisis. Well, it's Obamacare. I mean, we didn't overturn Obamacare. It's the same healthcare plan he put out there. And now he's saying that healthcare is in a crisis. So, everything was government solution for everything. Nothing about free markets, nothing about innovation. The rich are the problem. We got to tax them. We got to redistribute. It was a completely far left. It's the most far left speech we've ever seen from a president. And it was amazing that he would get up there in front of the country and put out these proposals, $6 trillion of spending. It's just a complete fantasy world, not supported by anything, not supported by facts, not supported by the needs that we need. And it was just a wish list of socialism that looks like it was written by, Bernie Sanders.
Kelly, so we have the infrastructure plan that was rolled out a couple weeks ago. We have this American Family Plan, which outlines things like child care, two free years, I believe, of community college. We know these addresses are times for presidents to go out and throw it all out there and see what sticks. I guess the question is, the president came under a lot of pressure from Republicans saying that he campaigned as somebody who wanted to be a unifying force, but they're saying they haven't seen that yet.
Well, I would disagree with you. He has met with Republicans to talk about issues and welcomes the idea to work with Republicans across the aisle. As he said before, he is the president of the United States. He's not a president of people that live in blue states, red states, independents, and work with other people. It's important to have different ideas and different philosophies, and I think that's great, and I think that he definitely is a unifier. He said very positive message. Let's go with the light. Let's not go with darkness. Let's work together, and definitely that's his plan to unite this country and hopefully unite the Republican parties to work with him.
Hal, what does it take to unify the country right now? How do you get there? How do you get both sides? I mean, we're talking about this. The Republicans are looking at about a $600 billion infrastructure plan. The president wants more than that. I mean, is that something that they could come to an agreement on?
Well, I don't see how they come to that agreement, because the left in the country has called everything infrastructure just to get the infrastructure bill up to almost $2 trillion. So, it's very difficult when you're not comparing apples and oranges and you're saying that childcare is infrastructure. It's hard to move forward on that. I mean, I think, look, Joe Biden is not trying to unify. He's systemic racism is all he talks about. Everything's race. It's very race-based. It's very divisive. That's the movement that he's on, and I think it makes it extremely difficult. You can't even get. I mean, Murkowski and our moderates are not on board with this plan. Neither is Joe Manchin. He can't even get the Democrat moderates on board with this plan. I think it's going to be very difficult to get Republicans.
Kelly, as we move ahead here, you mentioned there were a lot of cutaways tonight in the crowd of the likes of Joe Manchin, because he does hold a lot of power in this divided Senate where the Democrats just have the tie-breaking vote. Would you think in this infrastructure plan, there's been talk that maybe you break it up a little bit and you look at the roads and bridges and that sort of thing? Because look, there was all this talk during the Trump administration that infrastructure was going to bring people together, and we never saw a comprehensive plan on that, because this is something that Democrats and Republicans should all want, because it's about jobs, it's about fixing roads, it's about fixing bridges. Do you think that would be something that Democrats would be comfortable with, breaking it apart to try to get what needs to be done now?
Well, I think the Democrats are always open to that idea, but we have to remember how we're going to pay for the infrastructure. Biden has proposed that we change the tax rate for corporations. Now, we have to remember when Trump took office, he lowered the tax rate for corporations from 28% to 21%. And then Biden just wants to change it from 21% to 28%. So the American taxpayers do not have to pay for the infrastructure bill. Now, some of the senators say, well, 28%, we'd rather do 25%. And so maybe there can be a compromise, and welcome the idea to Republicans to work on the infrastructure bill, because as you said, it helps American people. It builds roads, it builds future, it helps our environment for our future generations, and it's key for our economy.
Hal, I got 30 seconds left. I just wanted to get your take on Tim Scott's performance, because this is always given to somebody who people believe may be the future of the party, and there's been talk that Scott might want to run for president in 2024.
Oh, I think Tim Scott did a fantastic job tonight. I mean, what a contrast. I mean, you have a young Southern black conservative talking about the future and talking about positive things for the country versus, quite frankly, an older white Northerner talking about problems with the country.
What does it say, though, that he is the only young black conservative in the U.S. Senate right now?
Well, I mean, look, I think that that won't be the case for an extended period of time. I think we're going to have more black conservatives in the Senate. I think you're going to see that. But let's be real. There's not that many black Democrats in the Senate either. So, it's the black population is 12% of the country. So, there will be more, but it is. I think it's very refreshing to see Tim Scott get up there and talk about a positive agenda for the country and looking forward. Look at the promise of America. His life story versus what Joe Biden's talking about.
Kelly Hyman, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Hal, great having you on. I know you both have stayed up late. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Please come back. And we have to go. So the Final Five comes back after this.